Hello to my fellow history lovers and people that think if I learned something new today, it will be a good day. So we have been talking about 22 major battles in the American Revolution, and we've talked about 6 on my videos. And I told you, if you learn 22 of these battles, you will be ahead of 90% of Americans. So we're going to take the first 6 we discussed and see if you can put them in chronological order. So let's say, which one came first in the war of these battles listed? And if you said, it was the shot heard around the world, right? In fact, I read about it in One If by Land, Two If by Submarine. Even if you didn't, it was the shot heard around the world. That's Lexington and Concord. The redcoats, see the guy over my head, go out and try to get the gunpowder. They fail, and they're actually chased back to Boston by the rebels. So that is number 1. So we've got Lexington and Concord is first in the war. All right, number 2. You think, the rebels chased them back and they're kind of hunkered down, which is shocking, right? This is the greatest army in the world and they're surrounded by rebels and they can't even get out of their own city. And that sounds a lot like a siege. Yes, that would be next. That would be the Siege of Boston. All right. And then let's imagine you're somebody like, say, Benedict Arnold or Ethan Allen, and you think, we may go to war with these guys. Maybe we need a bunch of cannons because we don't really have cannons. And so maybe what we should do is go to Fort Ticonderoga and get their cannons. You would be right. So the next one is going to be the Battle of Fort Ticonderoga. And then you think, so I know that the British are there under siege in Boston, and I know that there's eventually going to be cannons coming from our good friend Henry Knox is going to bring all these cannons back. But in the meanwhile, they're going to want to break out, right? Yeah, they do. And that is the Battle of Bunker Hill, where the British try to break out of Boston. And they do in fact get Bunker Hill, they win, but they can't get any farther. They're still basically under siege. So our last 2 are a little out of chronological order, but we'll just show you real quick. This is, believe it or not, we tried to invade Canada, which is the Battle of Quebec. It is failed. It's a failed attempt, but it's a fascinating battle. And then lastly, there is the Battle of Flamborough Heights, which is the amazing John Paul Jones, which we'll talk about at another time. All right, how did you do? Those were the first 6, and we'll talk about the rest another time. I hope you did well, and if not, I hope you learned something which is even better. Thanks for letting me share.